You can follow all the right money rules. You can save 20% of your income and invest it in the S&P 500, and you can work hard every single day, and you could still feel like you're never getting ahead. I went from being a broke kid to building a $100 million portfolio of companies. And what I learned was that the wealthy do not follow rules. They follow laws. Most people think making money is about tactics, and they try to find the perfect tactic. Then they look for the right investment, the right business model, and like the perfect sales script. But it's not about the tactics. The single greatest skill that separates the broke from the wealthy is mastering the psychology of money. In this video, I'm gonna give you 7 laws of wealth that actually work for operators that are building real businesses like myself and dozens of others I've seen. And if you master these 7 laws, you will not only make more money, but you will build a life of true abundance and freedom. Let's start with law number 1. Money is a dirty, stupid commodity, but value is the asset. When I was first trying to raise venture capital for my software business, Albi, I was literally terrified. I went through 99 rejections of investors. They didn't think that the business was going to be good. They thought the market was too small, all kinds of bullshit. And I saw these investors as gods, and I thought my little startup was a worthless, peeny little thing in comparison. And finally, my mentor, Clayton Mask, sat me down and he said, Alex, you have it all backwards. Money is just a dirty, stupid commodity. The government could literally print more of it whenever it wants. It's meaningless. What you have is valuable. You built a business, a team, a vision. You're staying up all night to try to propel the restoration industry forward. That is the machine that takes their dumb, stupid money and turns it into something that changes lives. That conversation, it changed everything for me. I stopped seeing myself as the beggar and I started seeing myself as the prize. You have to stop seeing money as the goal if you want to be successful. Money is just fuel. The goal is to build something of value. And if you hyper-focus on creating value, the money will follow. One of my other mentors taught me that your net worth is a small percentage of the value that you create within the world. So if you solve bigger problems, the money will come. Which brings me to law number 2. Wealth is what you don't see. You see, our society confuses being rich and being wealthy. When we see somebody with a Ferrari and a mansion and a private jet, we think, wow, they're rich. But being rich, all it is just having high current income. It's visible. Wealth, however, that's hidden. It's the income that you do not spend. Wealth isn't the car. It's the financial assets that actually give you the freedoms and options to actually get the car. A lot of people who follow me online see the car and they see the plane, but what they don't see is the war chest of valuable, boring businesses on the back end. The car and the plane are just a tiny fraction of everything that I've built. They're my toys. Most people have it backwards. They think they need to spend money to signal to others that they are successful. This is what some people call the man in the car paradox. When you see a Ferrari, you don't admire the driver, you just imagine yourself and what it would be like to sit in that car. Building wealth requires you to suppress your ego and practice this concept of delayed gratification. The question isn't, how can I make more money to buy more things? The question is, how can I use money to buy back my time to build more value in the world? And then eventually I'll have some disposable income that I can buy things. The trap and the mind is actually doing what most broke people do, which is spend money they don't even have, aka financing, to buy things that they don't really want to try to impress people that they don't even like. Which brings me to law number 3. Every loss is tuition. Your brain is wired for loss aversion. Psychologists have actually proven this, and they've proven that the pain of losing $100 is twice as powerful as the pleasure of gaining $100. And this is why people stay in dead-end jobs. It's like a safety net. I don't want to lose my minimum wage job, try to go explore something else because I need that. If you want to build wealth, you have to take calculated risks. And sometimes those risks are taking a job for lower pay with some equity, and sometimes you have to bounce around and shift. But when you take risks, you will sometimes fail. You will lose money, you will lose status, the job or the startup might fail, and it's guaranteed. I've lost millions on bad investments. I've actually gotten screwed over by people, had a contractor run away with $100,000 because I trusted him, had failed projects, and in the beginning, it crushed me. It felt like a personal failure. Every single time I would get notified of that loss, I'd be like, but then I just had to learn to reframe it. And when I reframed it, everything changed. Every loss wasn't a loss. It was just tuition. The average American spends $200,000 to sit in a college classroom to learn from a professor who has never built a business on how to build a business. When I lose $50,000 on a bad business venture, I didn't lose it. I paid $50,000 for real-world education that will make me millions in the future. When you start seeing failure as the price of education, it stops controlling you, and it actually fuels you. Which brings me to law number 4, intrapreneurs and entrepreneurs control the world. If you look at the Forbes 400 list, you will notice something very quickly. 0 people made it onto that list with a salary. 0. They're not sitting there bragging about, oh, so-and-so has a salary W-2 income of X amount and OTE of Y amount. The people who control the world and the wealth in this world are the builders. They're the value creators. And the fun fact is you don't actually have to start your own company to be a builder or a value creator. The next generation of millionaires are going to be intrapreneurs. These are the people who go inside an existing company, find the bleeding bottleneck. They solve massive problems and demand to be paid for the value that they create in a special way. Not an hourly wage for the hours they work, but in a small percentage of the pie when it comes to equity. Now, whether you're an intrapreneur building value inside a company or an entrepreneur building the company itself, you have to be a builder. You cannot save your way to massive wealth. You have to actually build it. Which brings me to law number 5. Leverage multiplies the machine. Leverage is the most misunderstood tool in wealth creation. Most people think leverage just means debt. And sure, while that's partially true, it doesn't fully cover the picture. Leverage is anything that disconnects your inputs from your outputs. Anytime you go from a one-to-one to a one-to-many, that's leverage. If you buy a house for $1 million in cash and it goes up 10%, you made $100,000. But if you put only $200,000 down and borrow the rest, that same 10% increase just gave you a 50% return on your cash. That is financial leverage, aka debt. But in business, there's even more powerful leverage. Code is leverage. Media is leverage. AI is leverage. When you use AI to automate your collections process, you're using leverage to do the work of 10 people with 0 marginal cost. Leverage doesn't make you wealthy on its own, but it magnifies the machine you've already built. If you want to be a very valuable intrapreneur within an organization, use AI to do the work. Everybody on my team, from the developers that are building my software application to my water mitigation collection people, all of them are using AI in some sort of way as leverage to replicate all those tedious tasks that they would otherwise have to do. Which brings me to law number 6. Cash flow keeps you alive, but equity makes you free. And when we're talking about this, think of cash flow as your salary or your distributions, and think of equity as what you own. So cash flow funds your current lifestyle. It pays for your mortgage, your car, your vacations. It's the money that you need today, and it's important. You need to make sure that you're properly paid. But wealth isn't built by saving cash flow in a savings account or 401k. Wealth is built by earning equity, and that's the wealth that you create for tomorrow. And this is why being an employee who earns equity is so important. If you're an intrapreneur, your goal shouldn't just be a bigger bonus. Your goal should be to earn a piece of the rock. When you own the equity, you own a piece of the enterprise value. You're no longer trading just time for money. You're now owning an asset that compounds while you're doing all this heavy lifting and bringing value to the organization. And this is ultimately why you should strive to own a business or part of a business. When you own part of the business, you have part of the equity, and then that asset eventually gets sold to private equity firms or to a buyer, and they'll eventually pay a massive multiple to acquire. While that cash salary fuels your wealth, your rich lifestyle, that equity is going to be what's going to make you wealthy. And finally, we're moving on to law number 7. Boring consistency compounds. Financial gurus will tell you, the Wall Street way, which is diversify. They'll tell you to spread your money across 100 different stocks and mutual funds that you actually don't know shit about. But every wealthy operator I know did the exact opposite. They put all of their eggs in one basket, their own business or their own industry that they believed in. And they watched that basket like a hawk. They didn't jump from crypto to real estate to e-commerce. They picked one boring, unsexy industry and they stayed there for a decade. And that's what I did. Everything I built and all my wealth is backed by this boring industry of sucking up poop water, or some people would call it restoration. Wealth is not created by finding the next hot trend. Wealth is created by doing boring, repetitive, unsexy work every single day for years. It's compound interest of consistency. You show up, you improve the product, you train the team, you fix broken processes, and you do it again tomorrow. It's not glamorous. It will not make you famous on Instagram. Trust me, I've been trying. It's hard. Boring consistency is the only guaranteed path to generational wealth. So let's recap the 7 laws. 1, money is a commodity. Value is the asset. 2, wealth is what you don't see. 3, every loss is tuition. 4, intrapreneurs and entrepreneurs control the world. 5, leverage multiplies the machine. 6, cash flow keeps you alive, but equity makes you wealthy. And 7, boring consistency compounds. Master these 7 laws and you will stop playing the game by the rules and you will start playing it by the laws of wealth. And comment below which one you needed to hear most today. As I monitor every single comment, I love everybody who comments on my post, whether it's positive or negative, and I'll reply to you soon. And if you want to learn the exact business models that I'm investing my time, energy, and effort into this year, click the video on the screen right now, and I'll see you on the other side.